Hey guys, as you know, I bought an old farmhouse a few hours away from where I was before. It's 100+ years old and I'm renovating it one room at a time. When I moved in, I didn't bring any of my belongings. I had an air mattress and a couple of things that I found in the barn and a couple of small little things that I had taken to Nana's while I was looking for a place to buy. So we lived on an air mattress and a few other things that I shopped at IKEA for while I was waiting to get in here. But the reason why I did that was because I knew I couldn't bring any weight into this place before I raised the floors. The floors were a huge issue and I knew I needed to put in quite a few more supports and structure and all of those kinds of things, and then I would be able to bring in my belongings. That took many months, and you can only crank that maybe a half an inch at a time and let the house rest and keep on going like that. So we changed some vents around and heating and fixed the floors and such and all of that kind of stuff. And then when that was done, I was able to send for all of my belongings, and then I could get started on the inside of the farmhouse. When I was waiting for all of that to be done, when I was waiting for the floors to be raised, I was working outside most of the whole summer. And then I got my belongings, and then I came back into the house to start to do the living room and things like that. I've been renovating since I was about 14-15 years old, so I am skilled in some way, but I am no pro by any means. I do the best that I can with what I have and go from there. This room took me 2 solid weeks to finish, from morning to night, about 6 to 11 every day, but it was well worth it. It was one of the worst rooms of the farmhouse to do. I knew that it was going to be a huge project, and that was okay, but it did take a long time and a lot of work and a lot of sore muscles in the end. There were so many issues with this room, major issues, that I would not be able to explain it all through this video. It would take a lifetime to go through each one, and I was really doubting if I could even salvage that ceiling when I show you. It was just, I had lied there for so long and so many months looking up at that ceiling thinking, how am I going to fix this? Either I do a completely new ceiling or I match a technique that they were using maybe decades ago. And even if it was, say, stippling, and I tried to stipple, I'm not going to have the same hand that they used. And I really questioned how that was going to turn out, but it turned out so fantastic in the end that I'm really happy that I put the effort in to do what I did. The walls, they were crumbling. You guys know this was a hoarder house, and the floors were basically used as a bathroom for their pets for probably decades. So that's why I decided to paint instead of refinish, because I needed something to block odor and block stain and all of those things. And because they have neglected the house for so many years, I thought painting would be the best bet. As I've been renovating, I've been taking a little bit of footage and pictures as I go for my family and my kids and myself, because I'm out here by myself and kind of wanted to keep them informed and in touch. So I've kind of pieced together footage and pictures and kind of trying to make a little bit of a storyline to it, and hopefully it makes a little bit of sense as I go along. The starting clips are from the days that I first got here, when there was carpet on the ground. And then I lifted that up. To my surprise, there was wood floors. Nobody could tell me in the beginning if there was actually wood floors under there, but I had a suspicion there was. So I kind of just went with that and hoped and crossed my fingers, and sure enough, there are wood floors throughout the entire farmhouse. So I pieced together this footage from beginning to what it looks like today. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I have to get rid of loose stuff. Every time more comes out, I get a little scared. I just want to get anything loose. There's a piece right there that's loose. Don't want to do it. I have to do it. There's another piece here. It's not what I want to see. Look at this. Oh. Ah, that's not nice. I don't know what in the world that mudding was good for. This is a problem. Take this down. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't know what I'm gonna find. Oh! Oh! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh, don't! No! 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 Oh, the wall's falling. Okay. All right. Well, I wasn't planning for that. Yeah. Carry on. Please don't. Please don't fall. Please don't fall. Oh, look. The wall stayed up. Ooh, feel that cold? Ooh, that's cold. Okay, issue. Plaster has come completely off the brick. How do I fix that big of an area? I'm not quite sure. The trim's gonna come out down to about here. But this is also way too big for it. It's about an inch off the wall. So I'm gonna have to take this out. I can't use this because when I frame it in, it's gonna be an inch off. So that's not good. I gotta take that out, which I wasn't planning on. Yeah, make a decision. Either fix that or expose the brick. And if I expose the brick, I run a big chance of cracking all of that. And that's gonna be a headache. So I decided to plaster, and then I decided to mud the rest, and I did that for days upon days upon days, just mudding and sanding and mudding and sanding until it was all done. Next came the ceiling. I was worried that the mud and the tape would not stick to that ceiling. It was very thick with smoke. They had been heavy smokers, and I'm sure it hadn't been painted or looked after for probably many decades. So I decided to put a really good quality primer on it to give myself a better chance that that mud and that tape and everything that I was going to do was going to stick. It looked to me that they had used rags, so that's what I did too. And I put at least 4 coats, maybe more on. I just made it wider and wider as I went. Next was the cove. This was a huge issue. It is such a rounded cove, and these coves are on the whole bottom floor here, and they're 9-foot ceilings. And they were cracked, every so many inches were cracked, so every single piece of it had to be patched up. And I knew that trying to get that cove, that rounded cove, to a smooth finish was going to be almost impossible. So I decided that I would patch it all up and then cover it with some sort of texture to hide the fact that it's been patched. So I started to play around with the mud in all different formats of what I really wanted, and I came up with a couple of different ideas, and then I just picked the one that I liked the most and used that. Then it was on to the faux stone walls. I've been doing these walls for over 20 years. I had them all over my property in the last house, and I love them. I actually love them because they really hold up well. You can change the color through the years. You can change the grout. The more banged up they get, the better they look, and I never really grow tired of that look. I will be doing this wall in the kitchen at some point when I get to the kitchen reno, but that won't be for a bit. But when I do, I will probably make a full video on how I do this and what I use and the techniques that I've done over the 20 years and how to put the color on and so forth and so on. I've done this over tile, I've done this over wallpaper, warped walls to even them out. I've done it pretty much everywhere, and it turns out really good. If I can do it, you guys can do it. Hopefully someday I will get to that kitchen pretty soon and I will show you exactly how. The hardest part about this wall is picking the color. You need pretty much 5 colors minimum to make it look good. If you go up to 7, 8 colors, it'll look even better. And it always looks really bad in the beginning. No panic, it gets better as you go, and time just adds to it. Finally got to frame in those windows, and here is a picture of the floors and how soiled they were. I sanded them down as much as I could. I put good quality primer on it. I did not use an oil. I used a water base because I didn't want the odor of the oil. The oil would have worked better. I completely agree with that, but I decided to go with what I had, and what I was using was water base, and it took many coats of that with 2 good coats of primer underneath, but it did the trick. Thanks for coming along. Till next time. Hey, do.